Right, first job of the day is clean these saw blades that are in the spindle moulder. They got really gummed up. I assume it's because of the green oak, like the amount of moisture in it was unbelievable. It's almost spraying out the blades as you're cutting it. So I've tried a few of my stuff that I'd normally clean the resin off blades and cutters with. It's not working. What's working well is just soaking it in plain water. I believe like it stuck to it because it was wet, and it's just like a pasty sawdust mixed that's stuck to it and baked to it because it's wet. So the water is just dissolving it and releasing it. The back of the spindle moulder is pretty full of it too, so I don't know whether to take that out and wash it or just scrape it off and not bother about it. I'll leave a link to this in the description. It's such a good product. When I was cutting them rails with the HK, like the shoulders of the braces, I was really struggling, and I just lubed everything up with this stuff, and it lasted for the whole job. To be fair, it lasted all day. Just one time only application, and it made all the difference. It made it a dream to do rather than a pain pushing them through. So anything that slides over anything just works really well. Also helps protect like raw metal, so I put it on my chisels and my planes. When I used to have a non-insulated workshop, so you get that sort of change of weather condensation, it stopped the machines rusting anywhere you put that wax on. It definitely made a massive difference in how much they rusted with them changing the weathers. Perfect. Right then, on to today's task, cutting these things out. So I've got my little template. I don't know whether it's best to make a jig on the bandsaw fence that I can put a template on and just push it up to it and cut it out, or just to draw around each one and cut to the lines. I think for the amount I've got to do, it's only 20. I'll just draw around them and cut to the lines. Before I forget, I've been meaning to ask for a few days. Anyone that's doing green oak framing, obviously it's going to dry out because this is completely wet timber. Now I've machined all these braces up. I don't really want them to warp and split and move while they're drying out before I've made the rest of the framing. Would it work to put them on a pallet and wrap them in like a cling film, stop the moisture evaporation while I get everything else made, and then can assemble it with it staying in a reasonably similar shape to what it is that I've machined it to? Thick pencil line is much better to follow, so these are quite good. I've got to keep sharp in it. Nice heavy line to see on the bandsaw. Because I can't start the cut on the bandsaw from this end of the tenon, so the blade can't start in the tenon and then start cutting this. I've got to go from this direction. I'm just going to try out cutting both left-handed and right-handed on the bandsaw for these cuts, see which one I prefer before I go and mark all 20 of them out, and then find it really difficult to do the cutting. Thankfully, they're getting lighter every time I make a cut to them. They're getting a little bit lighter, so it's quite a nice stage to be at. Biggest thing I've been struggling with is I could do with the tables that is all one piece, because as the point of the brace comes off, it's obviously moving a bit, being green oak, it's catching these tables, and you cut a nice curve, and then it starts to go straight on the edge. Just going to put them together, hopefully that will solve that little problem. That's the cutting done. Just I turned one the wrong way there, just for all the people with OCD. It really knock you off. Someone said about the ASMR baling video sending them to sleep, so maybe that will keep you awake. So yeah, looking good. I can't help but wonder how out of square they'll be after I've cut them and then they start to dry out and stuff. So that's why I'm wondering whether I should be wrapping them up to keep that moisture content as it is currently. Wasn't too much distortion as I cut it out, but obviously that when the grain's like this and you're cutting it through, they are going to move and adjust a little bit. Next job is to get rid of all this lot, a big stack of like quite chunky offcuts. So I'll get me offcut pallet around here, load them up, have a spot of lunch, and then router all the ends of these tenons so that they got a nice 45-degree on. I did do one like this so that when we're knocking it together, it's got a bit of a guide into the big mortises. The last thing you want is a hang up because of a bit of a grain gnarling on the corner. So it's the next little job. What do you guys think about holding a raffle for like some tools or workshop equipment? I really enjoy some of the farming ones. I have a ticket, maybe one ticket a month on like a farming raffle or something. Bit of fun, but maybe something for charity. Like all the funds go to charity, but something like drills or spindle moulder tooling or something like that. Yeah, one winner takes all, or instant prizes, something along them lines. But I really enjoy the competitions, especially if they're fair and you know they're being done through someone that's not, you know, trying to make a killing out of the job. It mostly going back to the people that are putting the money in the pot. So yeah, be interested to hear your thoughts. And yeah, if we can hold something like that, it'd be a bit of fun. Really must not forget, clean the dust off your beds if you've been doing green oak. It makes a mess of it. I mean, you see it going black already, a little reminder there. And like my chisel the other day, so always make sure they're really well waxed before you work with anything like that. Get all the dust off, blow it right down, and then wax it again after you've used it. I'm going to use some 80 grit pads to sand these curves up, even the inside, so the concave bits, and just to get over the fact that it's a bit dirty on the machine to be doing that. I'm going to pack up the paper with a couple of these pad savers. I'll put a link to the pad savers in the description. They're mainly designed for when you're using like net abrasives, so that the heat generated from the net abrasive wears the pad saver Velcro out and not the Velcro on your machine. But just build up a little bit of a cushion so that it should bend a little bit more or conform to the shape of the curve a bit better than just the base of the machine. Before we get into that, actually, there's one last cut to be made on these. If I do the cut first, it means I can do the round over, a bit of sanding on it at the same time as this, so let's get that done. Sanding these up, I tried a mix of 120 grit and 80 grit. I think the 80 grit is just worked the best. It was aggressive enough to take the material away quick enough to not get bored, but also leave a good enough finish that for green oak framing it was sanded enough to say that was a finished sand. George has got the quad bike fixed, and all I can hear out the back is donuts and smoke. Donuts and engine noise. There we go, that is the very last one. 20 plus a spare, almost identical braces. I say almost identical. I messed that one up. Yeah, and that one was too short, so I've messed that one up as well, but I have got enough to make 20 good ones visually from the face, so that'll do for me. End of the day, blown the workshop down. I like to get it to a point where every single thing in here has a space. So at the end of the day, like now, I could get my leaf blower in and just like blast the spindle and the door after I've swept up, give it a good blast in, and just get all the dust off of every surface, like all around the conduit at the top where it all builds up and just gets that horrible sort of workshop dust. I'd love to blast that out all constantly, just keep on top of it. But you need everything to be fixed down in order to do that. So yeah, I'll get there one day, maybe in the next workshop, who knows? But there's always something to improve on, isn't there? Yeah, the other day I asked what the sheep's name was. It was really difficult to call him over actually without saying his actual name, but it was called Joe, Joe the Tup. He's a character with the guy we bought him from. It was the daughter's pet, and she's really upset to see him go. So he's kept some of his character from obviously being hand-reared by her. And he's really friendly, which is quite unusual. So he's becoming a bit of a legend, is our Joe. Also, a quick note, I've added a load of my pictures of the latest kitchen that I did. I've been holding back releasing any pictures. I've been putting one on Instagram every day for about 2 or 3 weeks now, so there's quite a few on there. But if you want to have a look at the whole album, there's a link down below to my website with the gallery of all the pictures on that album. So go check it out and let me know what you think about that one.